Richie Moon. This is the Richie Moon Show, and our special guest today is the beautiful, the talented Miss Yeru.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk about her poetry book, Crashing. I've dissected it, went through it, and I got some of my favorite poems picked out. We're going to discuss it. We're going to see her motivations behind it, what was the reason behind it, what was her mind state during that time. But before we take a wave on the crash, how have you been? What's been going on with you throughout all this? Take me for life for Yeru at the beginning of the pandemic up until now.
Oh, sure. Before the pandemic, I was actually working as a copywriter for Moda Operandi. They're an e-commerce marketplace, so purely online.
Talk to you about that.
Yeah, a lot of luxury brands. So I was freelancing with them, so that was a lot of fun. And that kind of led me into thinking more about writing, and I had kind of been sitting on this for a little while, to be honest. So quarantine kind of gave me some time to press the go button.
I mean, like, the arts is definitely not out of like the realm. I mean, you went to FIT. So what was the inspiration behind that? Was there people in your family that were involved in the arts or in fashion, or was it something that kind of like an individual thing?
My mom was an artist. I actually watched her get her bachelor's in graphics. But that was before everything was really digital. Like she graduated in 1997, actually.
Okay.
So while she was doing her homework, essentially, she was kind of setting me up with, teaching me how to draw and kind of because I always wanted to mirror my mom a little bit as a kid. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So like that was definitely my intro to art was through her. My dad is a vocal coach, so art is kind of very much very much in my family.
Okay.
And I actually didn't realize that I had family that went to FIT before I went. So it kind of all just kind of came together in its own form. If you know me, that's kind of usually what happens.
So was there, I like to call it like the aha moment, was there a specific moment that you were just like, FIT, this is it, this is my school, so I'm gonna plant my flag 10 toes down?
No, actually, I think when I was younger, when I was like 10 years old, I kind of had this idea about FIT, but I think just being a black girl, when college kind of came up, I don't think I really thought about it. The way I saw a lot of my peers did, it wasn't something that I thought of long term. It just kind of happened. I just kind of was like, I want to do art. I kind of pinpointed some schools that seemed interesting to me, and just kind of gunned for it and hoped for the best. And it worked out in some sense. Yeah.
Nice. So are there any other arts besides fashion and the poetry, which we'll get into later, that you, if I remember correctly, you were dancing, yes?
Yeah, I actually have a ballerina tattoo.
Hey!
Some things are just always a part of you. I feel like for me, a lot of things go in phases. Dance, I started at 3 and just kind of pushed through. I think me and you met when I was like 14.
I think so.
I think it was around that time.
Yeah.
Dance has just always been a part of me, and I've been kind of just trying to figure out what part of the arts I really want to incorporate into my own career.
Okay.
So, that's kind of how we got to Crashing.
Okay. So before we get to Crashing, take me a little bit through FIT. What years did you go to FIT?
I went from 2010. I was a freshman, and I graduated in 2015.
Nice.
Yeah. I studied textiles originally. I even did a textile surface design program, and then I ended up with my bachelor's in advertisement marketing and communications because I just felt like I wanted to get my business mind. I wanted to be a little stronger there.
Very important. That's very important. So what is it? Excuse me. It was a textile
surface design. So that's actually designing patterns, painting them, painting prints, learning how to duplicate them, learning CAD. I actually got to, I had a loom assigned to me, so I learned to weave different patterns. Like I learned how to do tweeds and twills and.
Oh, nice.
Wasn't some of the things I took to a lot. Like I love the painting aspect, the weave part. Actually sitting there and physically doing it was definitely a little bit challenging. And it forced me to challenge myself because they were like incorporate different things. I think I did a pattern with like colored synthetic hair. So yeah, it was definitely challenging. Definitely pushed the way that I looked at art as a whole.
When people heard that you went to FIT, people were like, "Oh, you're gonna be my stylist. Was that the first initial
To be honest, people always think
I mean, you do have the model look. I love the loud colors. I love the colors. And
Thank you.
These us being in New York City, these are kind of models are usually more eccentric with their attire and how they express themselves, how they feel on the inside through their clothing. So you definitely fit the.
Thank you. I think I just love fashion. So like I've played on both sides of the camera. I've been a model. I've been someone who's tried to do creative directing. I really do love being a stylist also. Which is one of the things that I do play with. Yes. But yeah, I think when I think of FIT, it was just like the place where I learned a lot about what types of fashion I wanted to play with, and it gave me the place to experiment. Which was very nice.
So. You said that you were sitting on this for a while. So was this before COVID that you decided to like really put the pen and paper and start working on this, or was this before?
It was definitely, I want to say 2019, I kind of found myself at a bit of a crossroads, and I actually started looking at the art that I had, and I was kind of in a very reflective moment. And I realized that I've been a writer since like 10 years old, and I never talked about it, and I never promoted it.
Yeah.
And I found myself going to like more open mics, and just like not necessarily partaking, but just being there and experiencing
that energy.
Yeah, I started to tap into my own, and I ended up looking at a bunch of old poems. I kind of went through a ton of notebooks, a ton of phones, and I realized that I had a narrative here, and I had a collection, and I wanted to kind of piece it together and bring it to the forefront, and that's kind of what I did. I ended up like hiring an editor. I drove Postmates to pay my editor. So that was like, it was definitely a crazy experience. But I think with the editor, it kind of helped me like assert my vision and kind of realize that like what was in my head was actually like there. It was, I already had it here. You know what I mean? Help me piece it together and realize that like the narrative that I thought I had in this collection was there, and that was the voice, and it was something that I could kind of start talking to other people about.
There's definitely a narrative throughout this, and we're tiptoeing into this. So no, you're good. What was the first, do you remember the first poem that you wrote for Crashing? Or was this already, because you said you've been writing before?
Already, yeah.
It was already written?
These are all kind of existed in different forms, and I actually just picked ones that I really liked and really related to at the time.
Yes.
And I worked on those, and I reworked them,
Okay.
And that's kind of how they ended up here. So it wasn't necessarily that I planned to write Crashing. It kind of just came together on its own, and then through editing it down, I ended up with this version of what's in this book.
So is it fair to say that Crashing has been in the making for a couple of years?
Yeah.
Okay.
For some time, yeah.
So a lot of these poems are written through different mind states, maybe relationships.
Definitely different stages, different relationships. I'll say probably one of the first poems I probably wrote from this collection, I was probably like 19 or 20, and I'm 27 now.
Okay, that's okay. So that kind of, I don't want to say not my suspicion, but like when I was reading it, you can tell that there are stages that you went through. Like you were in this kind of mind state, maybe you're going through this type of relationship. But I can definitely see like some of the conflicts that came through some of your poems. So speaking of, so you have about 31 poems in here.
Yes, it's a small collection.
I picked my top 10 of the ones that really just like spoke. All of them spoke to me, but some of them like I just related more to because experiences in my life.
Oh no, that's great. This is my favorite part.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about. It's all about, you know, how things relate to you and as an individual. You know, being a writer myself, I definitely not. First off, she signed this for me.
I did.
To Moon with love and grace, and much appreciated, much appreciated. So, the first one is actually the first poem, You and I. You and I are like the beach. You are flowing waters. I thrive on the stillness of land. When we touch, I break apart in stillness like particles of sand. Molded into one, you fill the empty crevices with the crash of every wave. I succumb to your invasion with patience, without protest. I wait for your demands, knowing there's no avoiding the connection between water and land. mean, there's obvious motifs between, you say it with the water and land. You know, most of the humans we're mostly 70% water. But can you take me through this? In my mind, I'm literally picturing you on a beach, just writing this.
Yeah, I actually wasn't on a beach. I was definitely in my room, just being very dramatic and overthinking experiences with somebody in my head. And I think I started thinking about how the connection felt to me. And I probably wanted to go on the beach.
So
probably where it came from.
You named it crashings, and there's multiple references and motifs and metaphors to water. Was there any specific reason why you named it that? And like I said, you reference water a lot and beaches a lot. Was there any specific reason for that?
I think you and I and another poem, I think it's Crashing, actually, were like one of the first that I actually wrote. Yeah, Crash and You and I were actually like the first two that I actually wrote. And I'm trying to think of like during the time what I was envisioning, but I think I probably felt like I was drowning in the bed. And you know, I started thinking about the metaphor of the waves and how that looks and how it connects to everything, because we are water, right?
Yes. Water
is one thing that we all need to survive. And I think when I started thinking about love, you start thinking about that need. So I think I was really just kind of thinking about that connection and how water really is in everything. It's in nature. It's something that everybody, all living organisms, kind of need to pull forward and to grow. So I think that's kind of where my mind was at. And I was really thinking about the connection when you're connected to somebody, when you feel that deep, like I almost can't live without you, I almost can't breathe. So I think that's kind of where that started to come from. It's kind of like I just felt like I finally might have found that connection with somebody, you know? So yeah, that's definitely what You and I is based on.
Yes, I like that. This one is called Peace. It's very short, but I think it's so self-explanatory. Peace. The war is within you, but so is the peace treaty. And I think sometimes as people, man, woman, black, white, rich, poor, whatever, sometimes we put these ideas in our own head. Like, oh my God, we create these scenarios, and then we get to reality of it, it's just like, oh.
Mine, that was definitely about overthinking. Definitely overthinking. I think I think this one, I believe I wrote this as one of the last ones that I actually wrote and incorporated into this collection. And I think at that point I was just kind of like, really like, girl, you gotta, whatever you looking for, you gotta look at yourself, girl. You gotta, you know, we can do this. You start talking to yourself, because overthinking and anxiety is a huge thing, where you end up creating scenarios where half the time they're not necessarily even true. Especially when it includes other people.
reading, doing some digging in psychology, a lot of the times we create our own suffering, because we create these scenarios of a bad situation. We relive that bad situation
over and over again.
But that situation was only like 13 seconds.
Right.
But we just keep reliving it, and maybe I should have did this, or I should have wore this, or I shouldn't have said that. So
half the time we're looking at the completely wrong thing anyway, which is why I try to redirect to self.
The peace treaty. I really like that. Very short, simple, but it's powerful. It's straight to the point. Like it's like you said, it's in you. So the next one is Invisible. And this one really hit me. It hit me maybe like more on an ego sense, because I mean, you see my social media, I'm kind of Black Power, you gotta eat right. I've been saying this for, sometimes I feel like on deaf ears for years. So this one I really related to. People do not see me, but I am not invisible. People do not hear me, yet they are not deaf. I keep trying to show them, but it's a waste of time, revealing myself when they choose to be deaf and blind. And, you know, all like on a surface level of, you know, fight the power, eat right, but also I think when we get into relationships, sometimes we may lose ourselves in it.
Yes.
So you feel like you're saying this to a person like, please don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me like that. And then that person that you give all your love and your compassion and time continues to talk to you like that. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly. And it's like, you know, after a while, you can't change other people. You can only tell someone so many things so many times before you realize that unfortunately, this is their nature, and they're not going to make the choice to respect what you're saying and what you're asking. So that's definitely where that came from.
Okay.
Can't beat a dead horse, you know.
Facts. So listen, I tried. Don't do it. Listen. That's another subject.
It's another subject.
Yeah, it's a whole other podcast. Another podcast. So the next one is Forgotten Dreams, and this is one of the ones like I can see like well, from my perspective, that you were kind of at one of your crossroads a little bit. And Forgotten Dreams. Actually, can you read Forgotten Dreams for me?
Sure. If you listen gently, you can hear the whispers of lost children's dreams. They flutter between the breezes in hopes of finding the places where they used to fly.
I mean, like, you know, I read this and I was just like, oh, like, this is a person kind of caught in between two places. Like, you know, especially us, you know, I feel like you actually alluded to this in another poem about being a bird and never being able to, like, to fully feel.
Broken wings.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I have that in here. But those two kind of interconnected, because I feel like they're saying the same thing, but just from like different perspectives and different things. So I really,
I think for me, I didn't want this to be like a purely like, you didn't love me, you know what I mean? I wanted it to really touch on the reflective part of myself, where I was at the part where I was really trying to accept my own accountability in these situations, because we all have a responsibility to ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you've forgotten a dream, right, it's up to you to go back and remember and to go and decide what you're going to do with it, because I'm a big believer in dreams evolving.
Yes,
it's okay that they
yes.
can change. It's okay that maybe the thing you wanted for yourself 10 years ago isn't what you want now. The thing you wanted last year doesn't have to be the thing you want now, but it has to change and grow in some way.
I agree. I think this is a testament to, I don't want to say a forgotten dream, but maybe, like you said, there's something that you put to the side that you were kind of sitting on, and, you know, life happens, other things happen, and then...
When we're younger, there's, you know, you have ideas of what's cool and, like, what is going to be accepted, and we can sit here and say that as a race, as women, as, you know, it goes on and on. But I think, for me, like, putting this kind of out there was just to show myself that I can take up different spaces. It doesn't just have to be fashion or visual, or it was really just me checking off something on my bucket list and I'm doing it for myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
I much appreciate it. So this next one, ooh, man. This one here on a personal level, I miss myself.
Yes, this is one of my favorites.
This brought me back to a relationship, man. Woo! All right, so, oh man, I used to think I missed you, but it's myself I miss. The one before you, the one that was sure of herself, before you took my certainty and diluted it with your possibilities, intentions that never intended to become real. I miss the feeling of flying. I miss not knowing what the ground was like. I never wanted to touch the floor, but you were determined to pull me down. I have descended. Ascension doesn't seem likely anymore. Oh, when I say I had to throw the book down, like, boom! There it goes right there. This is definitely one of my favorite ones, because it's just one I personally relate to it, because I've been through, I feel like, every single step of this, being with somebody and pouring yourself into somebody. Then you realize, like, yo, hold up. I used to do this, and that, and now it's just like, I've directed all this towards you, and like, you know, like you said before, you know, there's accountability, so you just can't blame the other person, but that other person, like you said, is supposed to fill you up, supposed to lift you up and not pull you down.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it.
This came from me definitely I was missing someone, and then I had to check myself, like, why are you missing this person? And especially when you don't feel like they're missing you either, so you have to realize, like, what's really going on.
Yo, isn't that one of the worst things when you miss somebody? You kind of don't really have any business missing that person.
Yep.
And then it's just like, well, that person ain't even missing.
You can't even, like, think about it, like, you know, because you're really supposed to be going in a different direction. And ascension is one of my favorite words, because whenever I think of life, what direction do I want to go? I want to ascend, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No, I really like the way you ended that. You know, ascension doesn't seem likely anymore. I was like, oh, the wordplay. Oh, the wordplay is nice. The wordplay is nice.
You.
No problem. So, a dig.
No, this is funny.
Yeah. I was,
Oh,
boom,
no.
boom, boom. Dig. Can you read dig for us, please?
Yes, hold on. This one's a funny one. Dig. You always want to dig a little deeper, a little rougher, into areas I won't let anyone see. You ask me if I like it. I like you, so I let you trespass, digging into places you shouldn't be.
Oh man.
No, this one's a funny one.
Yeah. So please, so what brings about
This is a
laughter?
two-part. This is a two-part poem.
Okay.
Because well, we're grown, so
Mm-hmm.
it's actually about anal.
That is not. That is why you were laughing. I'm thinking it's gonna be some deep. Oh, I was in this
It's a two-part
relationship.
because I realized it was a pun for how I was letting somebody treat me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was letting them do things that I didn't really
You really didn't like it.
enjoy, really on my end, but I enjoyed the person. And sometimes you want to give
You wanna, yeah.
extra,
I
even
understand.
when it's unnecessary. But it's a metaphor because after a while, right, you digging into places. I'm not sure you should be there.
That is not where I expected that to go. So
it's as deep as you want it to be.
literally and figuratively.
Don't tell the kids.
Oh man, she said, "Yeah, this is about anal." What? I'm definitely gonna make sure I put like a record scratch in the editing. What?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean.
Don't listen. You can't
That's the
can't
beauty of
trespass on yourself.
Listen, clearly.
Consent is real, but you
Consent.
know, you have to set your own boundaries, and you have to follow.
It's funny you just talk about consent. I think I'm not sure if I highlighted it, but there was a poem where you were talking about yes means no and
What you
no
doing?
actually. Yes. I'm not sure if I have that tag in here, but I remember that. So
What you're doing is also a fun one.
so the next one I chose was badass.
Oh yes.
Yes, I love badass. Badass. The day I became a badass, I became a woman too. Coveting and cunning, face and body angelic as noon. The day I became a badass, I set the world ablaze, howling at the moon, never giving a fuck if you were howling too. I like that. I mean, this is pretty much, I think it's very self-explanatory. I feel like there's a young woman that maybe got out of a relationship or accomplished something in her life and was just like, yeah, this is, yeah, I'm a woman now. Like,
This was my empowerment poem. This was the one where like the direction, I feel like everything changes, and now you're like, you know what? I'm good. I
got this. So that's very much what I got from this. Yes, I got
I was
this.
like, I'm good. I'm standing on my own 2 feet. I'm good.
Talking about. So the next one I chose was Like the Sun. There was a specific reason. I wish I'd have wrote it down. There is, but look, I'm just gonna read it out. I'm pretty sure I'll find it. Like the sun, like radiation from the sun, I want you to feel me, forever shining. I only know the light and nothing less. But do not shy away from the warmth I share. Embrace the altitude of incomparable height. May you be nothing less than the moon, a light in spite of darkness, shining too. That's why I like this. This light, that last line really got me. May you be nothing less than the moon, a light in spite of darkness, shining too. I mean, you know, nickname Moon, so that kind
Yes,
of,
moon.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But I really just like that wordplay of that, like, you know, in spite, you know, a light in spite of the darkness, and that's exactly what the moon is. And you know, when I look at the moon, it is a feminine principle. So and that goes back to crashing, because the moon controls the waves.
Controls the waves,
and
yes.
the waves kind of correlates with, you know, when, you know, the special time.
Controls the tides. Controls your highs and your lows. If you're the moon, can't you control that? Never be anything less than the moon.
I like that. I like that. I like, maybe it's a little bit of an ego thing because my nickname is Moon, but
Go for it,
I get the
moonshine.
overall metaphor. I
Yeah, man.
really like that.
Thank you.
So, the last one is the last one, and I feel like this was actually kind of like the classical poetry. This is kind of the I am. There's affirmations. I definitely can see this being performed at like a poetry slam or something like that. And if you don't mind, can you take the last one, Mr. Ruth?
I am poetry. I am the song you sing as you dance all night long to our music. I am the adrenaline pumping when you forget to join in. I am the dissatisfaction that life brings. I am the voice you try to silence and force to scream. I am the green you got from excess trees. I am the money you didn't save. I am the secret you forgot to keep that slipped out while you were sleeping. I am the AK held up by your jeans. I am the one you'd risk it all protecting. I am the dreams you forgot can succeed. I am the one to remind you that you can have everything.
Everything. So, we went through these, but what are there any, I mean, obviously all your works, are there any ones that really hold the place in your heart, one that really when you wrote it, you was just like, this is it.
You know what's funny? The longest one is Blowing Smoke. And that one is actually one of my favorites.
I like that one, yeah. I like that one.
Because I like the metaphor. I like the fact that we're playing with the word blowing smoke. Because usually that means you're telling lies, right? So the whole thing is a kind of a huge metaphor.
Yeah.
And I'm using apartments and moving and
Yes.
dinner times to to use them as timestamps to let you know how much time has gone by since I've seen someone, since I've spoken to this person, since I've felt that security. And initially it's talking about the fact that they're feeding me lies, right? But then in the end, I kind of talk about how I realized I kind of was turning into that same
person.
Yes. So in the end, I say my favorite line. Let's make sure I get it right. I don't want to paraphrase. It ends with snuff out the flame, push away the plate, lies. I'm giving up all of that. I'm avoiding the fire. So basically, like I said, a return to that accountability. Like, you know what, can't be this. I can't turn into the exact thing that's hurting me.
Yeah.
You can't, which often happens.
Yeah.
You end up becoming bitter and hardened, and then you turn into that exact thing that hurts you. And like the biggest thing is, don't do that. Don't become that. You know, whatever happens with love, you know, you always try to just go at it and try again and just try to do better than the last time and learn from your mistakes. Which we can just say about life in general.
Yeah.
So like that was pretty much like what Blowing Smoke was about. It's like you can't let the hard times define you.
So you would say that you started crashing at like 19, right? 19 to 27 now. So if you can go, if 27, the woman you rule can go back to the young lady of 19, better yet, if the 27-year-old can go back to 19-year-old, what would be the poem from Crashing that you would read to 19-year-old?
Probably Badass, because it's the one that changes and gives you back the power as the reader, as a woman. As a male, honestly, gender doesn't even matter when it comes to that poem. It's just all about just regaining your power. So I think I would read that poem to let her know that eventually you will regain your power. All these things will have a purpose.
Yeah.
And they'll lead you to a point where you know what, everything is going to be okay. You'll be fine. So yeah.
So were there any specific inspirations? I mean, I know there are relationships play in different points of your life, but were there any specific people, events that inspire Crashing?
Oh, I mean, it's been so many because like I said, it came
journey.
in phases. Yeah. So, you know, from my own personal interactions to, I remember I took a creative writing class, and I can say like a solid 4 or 5 definitely stemmed from that class. And when I think about when I started really realizing like I can kind of write, because they used to make us read, or you have a fellow classmate read your work, read selected poems or read selected prose, and Blowing Smoke, actually the draft originated in that class. And I remember a classmate who his work was like one of my favorite. I thought he was really good. I remember him singing my praises and saying like, you know, this writer's watching her journey has been incredible, from where she started, the poem she was showing in the beginning, to now to see this. And I think that kind of has always stayed in my mind.
Yeah. Nice.
And it kind of has slowly led me to talking and promoting the writing more and continuing my own writing, challenging myself. So that was definitely like the creative writing class. Who would have known that a creative writing
right?
class at FIT would have kind of changed my
Wow.
whole direction, right?
Okay, I thought you took this on your own, so you did that at FIT.
No, I did
nice,
this as an FIT class.
Nice,
so who would have ever? Yeah, I would never have thought that would have kind of pushed this a little bit too. But I definitely had some friends who were early readers. When it started, it's like, yeah, I'm kind of right. And it's always funny when people don't. They're like, what do you mean you write?
Like, yes, I write.
Like, what are you talking about? And then you kind of take a chance on yourself and you send them to a few friends, and they're like, holy shit.
I didn't know.
Wait, this is here. And so it's been such a beautiful journey because even now I'm getting more of those, and it's been very, very refreshing to see that people
I was very
relate.
I was surprised. I mean,
Yay.
I didn't, I see the fashion, dancing.
It's a very different voice.
And then you just kind of just came in left like, poetry book. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you just gotta jump in and get your feet wet.
Yeah.
Which I've recently been trying to do a couple open mics within the quarantine. So I just did like my second one. Right? Yes, on Monday.
Hey, nice,
yes.
nice.
Trying to get to reading more, just trying to talk about it, and I appreciate everybody that's just related to this in any way and found any healing. That's been the best, the most rewarding part. Is anybody that's found the healing parts of it. I've been like, oh my god, amazing.
Yeah, it's super dope. So as we start to wind down, was there any like famous artists or anything like that you kind of drew from to write this, or like any like particular poets that you were like, oh, I like their work?
The OGs, of course, Maya Angelou, can't help, Langston Hughes. Those are definitely like.
If you could sit down with Maya Angelou or Langston Hughes, whoever, which one of your poems would you like for them to read, or that you would read to them?
I think if I was to sit down with Maya Angelou, I would be interested to see how she takes to You Were Starving, because I feel like more women have favored that poem.
Yeah.
Crash was one that more men have actually favored it. So I found that to be, I would kind of play the gender and see how they responded to those poems based on that knowledge. But like, as far as like modern writers, I mean, Amanda Lovelace, I love. R.M. Drake is very, very popular.
Yeah.
Rupi Kaur, I'm probably saying her name wrong, I'm sorry. But she's one of my favorites because I think it's her that made me realize that poems don't have to be so long.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can say things within a line or within 2 lines or 3 lines, and you can get to the point. And I think that she was probably one of my biggest. Like, I read Milk and Honey, and I was just like, I was like, oh wait, I have these little one-offs. I have a ton of these. So, it kind of like opened my eyes too to the change in how things can be in the modern poetry world. So yeah, definitely top 3 are them right there. Those ladies.
Nice. Well, your rule. Please let the people know where they can find you. Let them know where they can purchase your book.
My book is available on Amazon. It's Crashing by Yerusalem LD. If you put Crashing Jerusalem, it comes up. You can also find me on Instagram. That's at Yerusalem.xx, YERUSALEM, as in Mary, .xx. And I have a link in my bio for my Amazon link. We're having a couple things to announce anyway soon. Hopefully I'll be telling you guys about a virtual reading. That's a goal coming up, so look out for that.
Yes. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So here on the Richie Moon Show, we make high-level conversation and observations the new normal. I personally feel, and a lot of my contemporaries feel this way. Honestly, us as being very specific as Black people, I feel like we cannot get further unless we elevate the Black woman. This week has been nothing but Black women on my show. I did not do that on purpose. I didn't set that up. Oh, let me just get Black woman.
I saw a couple.
Yeah, I got a couple more coming up this week. I interviewed my little sister, who's a therapist.
Amazing.
You know Eden? Oh, Eden. She went to Woodland. She does like a self-care product. She does like facials and all that. I'm gonna go interview her on Saturday.
I'll be looking for that one.
My
I love good stuff.
homegirl Mia is a singer. So I've been
This other one with Tiffany.
Yeah, I did one with Tiff. My homegirl Shakira. She was in a movie All Day and the Night. That's on Netflix. And I interviewed her. So I personally think we can't really move further until the woman is lifted up. So I respect and commend, bow down to all the queens out there. Like
Yes.
I said, high level conversation. So yeah, like I was saying, high-level conversation and observations are the new normal. I am Mr. Richie Moon. This has been a beautiful, talented, multi-talented Yeru. And thank you for everybody that's watching. We're gonna tap in with you later. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other.
Yes, uplift each other.
Yes,
Big
love and
love
light.
to, big love to you.
Make love. Make love.
Make
You know what I'm
love.
talking about? No war. Make love. You know what I'm talking about?